people ask me if I like working at the Beacon, and no, I don't like working at the Beacon because it involves taking care of homeless and poor people. That'd be nice if that all went away someday, or we got it down to a very low number. You know, but then I do love it too. So it is rewarding. I just don't like the circumstances.
This is Kevin, a volunteer at the Beacon, Madison's largest daytime shelter.
I don't think homelessness is ever going to end. It would take a profound leap of faith by our government. I don't want to get too political, but that's what it would take. We do what we do at the Beacon, love or compassion or whatever, and get the job done with what we have.
Kevin has supported the Beacon for 2 years and is concerned for Beacon's ability to meet the needs of the constantly growing homeless population.
The number of guests coming through were under 100 back then. If we got over 100, 110, 100, we thought that was a big day. Today we served 189 for lunch. So that's what we've been seeing. I don't think we even get under 100 people to come for lunch anymore. Those days are over.
The Beacon is operated by 7 to 10 staff and up to a dozen volunteers. On average, they support about 240 individuals every day of the week.
The Beacon's a great place. One, because I get accepted here being a street performing clown. I am ADHD diagnosed. I'm also autistic. And there's a lot of unmedicated people here. So if we can get a doctor or somebody in here to make it easier for these people to just have somebody there, because these people do care about you. They care about us. They know. And I know why they're here.
This is Jack, one of the people using Beacon services. To Jack, most precious aspect of the Beacon is the community that holds it together. Today, we will hear from Jack, Kevin, and many other people connected to the Beacon about what makes this community precious and precarious.
I think it's clear that the Beacon is there for people, and in the winter especially, like right now, it's just so good for people to have a place they can spend 8 hours out of the cold.
This is Ellen, another volunteer at the Beacon.
Still there because I think the Beacon is a great place, and I think it offers so much. And I've seen people get jobs, get housing, get help with drug addiction, and it's just exciting to see that people get help. Homelessness seems like it seems like an unsolvable problem, but in Madison it seems like you can make a dent in it.
Ellen feels optimistic about Beacon's ability to make a difference, in part because of how welcoming it is.
It's good that the Beacon is a place that people who are inebriated or on drugs can come in and get taken care of and get help. I know that there are some homeless programs that turn people away if they're intoxicated or on drugs. And that means they're out on the street and they, if they have an overdose, they don't get help. I have seen in my 7 years at the Beacon, I've seen 3 overdoses, and all of them got help immediately and were saved.
And obviously they have turnover, whatever, but their staff is so dedicated. You can't work there without caring. I don't think you can. You wouldn't last more than a day because it's not easy work, and you have to be able to appreciate the people and deal with it. And their staff has been such a strong part of that.
The dedication of the people who work there, I'm really admire, and being among people, both volunteers and staff, that have that kind of dedication.
You just heard from Ruth and Clyde. For them, passion is essential to working at the Beacon.
I have seen staff manage that with such grace and good humor often.
But we found a lot of satisfaction from the people who were so appreciative. We always mention when we come home often that we've never been thanked so much in a day.
Through all of the changes, it doesn't matter which volunteers are there or what's going on. Everybody that I've interfaced with has been very appreciative and very kind and welcoming, whether it's, somebody there trying to get services or staff, or security people. Everybody's kind and fun and friendly.
This is Erin. For her, mutual appreciation is what builds and sustains the Beacon's community.
I didn't realize that I would get that connection, and I didn't realize how much I would value it, because I do look forward to it.
Because I volunteer on the same day every week and always in the kitchen, I've gotten to know the people, on the Monday kitchen crew. And they're very, very nice people. And I see them every Monday, and we share stories and, say hello. But then, of course, we get to work. And, part of the benefit is just knowing those people, getting to know the other volunteers.
For many volunteers like Barry and Ellen, the community network is equally valuable to the services they provide.
I find it frustrating. I find it gratifying. I try to tell myself that, what I bring to the Beacon is support to the experts, because my tendency might be to want to engage and be part of the process, but that's really not possible for me. So even though what I do might be mundane, what I can bring to it is a positive attitude. I try to bring in good listening skills. It's helped me to enlarge my vision and idea of community. It's a place that I wouldn't necessarily find myself in my day-to-day, activities.
Building community is a value shared by most at the Beacon, not just the volunteers.
I came here, and so it's like I feel safe here. I am safe here. People love me here. They know, and it's like, so when there's that group of that network, my favorite part, smiles, the friendship, the bonds, and the camaraderie. And it's just like we go to church together.
The Beacon is more than the staff and services listed on its website. It is the collaborative efforts of the entire communal network that inhabits this two-story building.
And I've been successfully off hard drugs for the whole time since I've been homeless, because of the Beacon, because of these people. This is where I want to be, and it's also inspired me to become an EMT. And I'm starting school for that soon.
While the Beacon's community is precious, it is formed around the issue of homelessness, which is rendered invisible, or at best distorted, in mainstream media, from news to entertainment.
The people that you meet, the perspective that it gives you stay grounded in in reality and what the world is like.
It's easy to live in my neighborhood that's comfortable and beautiful and has lots of things going on, and it would be easy for me to stay in that small space and never really have an appreciation for the difficulties that other people in my larger Madison community are going through, and then how we all have to be engaged in that to make a difference, to make Madison a place where everybody can do well and be happy.
For Ruth, being a part of the Beacon's community has challenged her to notice and become critical of the isolating bubble of financial privilege.
We often come home very thankful that we've had the opportunities to do a lot of things we've had. We've had good families, we had good structure, whatever else. And we also know of a lot of family and friends who have people in their kids or other members of their family in their house that if those members did not have their family complete support, they would be out and in places like the Beacon.
Mainstream culture often portrays homelessness as an uncommon combination of unfortunate circumstances, but at the Beacon, many volunteers and staff have a more proximal perspective.
A lot of the people in the Beacon just have lost that support group, whether it's family, friends, or whatever. And once you lose that support group, they can't make a go of it. And I know almost everyone I know of knows of somebody that would fall into that category where they said if their family was gone tomorrow, they would be out in the streets. And that's what, you've got to realize sometimes, is that sometimes we're just blessed with the support groups we've had, and others have not been.
For those working at the Beacon, homelessness is not an invisible social category, but a deeply neglected and dear community.
To understand that there are people suffering in my community and that they need help for us all to do well, to thrive.
Some of the individuals supporting the Beacon have a personal connection to homelessness too.
So for me, I had a family member when I was young who was homeless for 2 years. And so the Beacon is very pertinent to me, from that respect.
Prior to me being at the Beacon, I too was homeless. I came out of a domestic violence situation in Texas. I left Texas to come to Madison. There were no resources, so I had to go stay with a friend, and they recommended me to the Beacon.
This is Sharkis, a guest services specialist at the Beacon. Witnessing the neglect that unhoused visitors are facing is draining for her and other staff too.
I'm just saying, it just breaks my heart with the Beacon. Like, I don't mean to just do too much, but we don't have a whole lot of staff because safety is an issue now. Safety is an issue. You got 4 and 5 people that works in the front. A lot of us are kind of like older women, but we're here for the mission. We're here to help people. Then there's these people don't have anywhere to go, and they pile up in the Beacon, and it's 250 of them and 200.
The dedication of Beacon's volunteers, visitors, and staff is what keeps them afloat. But the resources needed to move Beacon forward are lacking.
I oftentimes leave there kind of, I don't want to say empty, but, tired. The energy in the Beacon is such that it can draw it from yourself. And I'm sure that it does to the staff because they seem so focused on doing good work. And I do like being there, but it's a hard place to be.
I think it's just that they get sad. I think that they get sad and they just can't interact because something gets to them. So it's like being an EMT. You see all these people and see people that are here that need love and need care and need acceptance. And then you got the other people, I'm not even going to mention it. You already know. So I feel like maybe they need some therapy. And maybe they need a vacation. They need a break. So if it was a bigger facility with more employees, these ones wouldn't be so overworked.
Some challenges of working at the Beacon come from the inherent conditions of experiencing or being in proximity to homelessness. But majority of the struggle is a consequence of structural overwhelm.
I sit there every day and I see there's no cycling of people. These people are not getting the help they need. I see a lot of it's a lot of older people there, and they're vulnerable. And so seeing there's a couple of them that died from, vulnerable situations that could have been prevented had they had their own places and the resources to, to stay stable and, assistance with barriers.
Originally, Beacon was intended to simultaneously expand and shrink its community, but right now, that is not the case.
Ever since I started with the Beacon in 2022, it was clear that the Beacon was trying to be both. It was trying to be a place where case management could be offered to get people to stabilization, and then it also appeared to be basic needs, kind of put a Band-Aid on the situation, but not really take it that step further.
This is Alicia, the volunteer manager at the Beacon. The combination of basic needs and stabilization she mentions is what initially appealed to many of the volunteers you've heard from today.
I appreciate the effort involved at the Beacon in creating a place for people who are without housing to have shelter and also to access resources that might help them to become housed or improve their situation.
So what we liked was the whole concept of the Beacon, that they offer services to try to help people get out of the homelessness situation, as well as help with the day-to-day services just to help them get by. They needed both, and we thought that was a great approach, and we still do.
Currently, the stabilization services are lacking, and the Beacon is able to expand and sustain its unhoused population, but struggles to transition them out of their conditions.
And in order to have that many people that we're serving per day with the staff ratio and the type of issues that our population has that are pretty intensive, that need help with, you can't, unless you provide case management, you can't serve that many people and get them stabilized. You can serve that many people and just put Band-Aids on and meet basic needs, but then you can't be expected to do the stabilization part.
The overwhelm the Beacon is facing is twofold. One, it is running out of space.
And yet the Beacon can only take so many people. And I think right now they're taking a lot more people than they ever planned for. And it's not a big enough building for the number of people who are there.
And without additional support from external services, the staff-to-visitor ratio keeps shrinking.
You can't safely guard people, help them, and show them resources. You can't do one-on-one with anybody because a fight is going to break out. So it's just, we don't have what we need. We did see a few older people die, but they're targeted. They're getting hit. People stealing their money. They're getting scammed. And they just sit there and wait for hope. Like, they just sit there and they wait for someone to say, okay, we got a nursing home for you. Okay, what kind of income you have? Okay, do you need help with this? Do you need help with that? We need somebody to come to them. Like, they just not gonna go. They're gonna just sit in the Beacon. They're gonna just sit there. They're gonna sit there and they're gonna sit there until somebody come and help them. That's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Beacon staff are forced to spread their time and resources thin, and are often unable to provide the in-depth support that many visitors need.
And it's not sustainable. The people who are working there at the Beacon, they're overwhelmed, so they're getting sick a lot. They're calling in sick a lot. A lot of people are quitting, and then word gets out that it's not a good place to work, and then no one wants to apply to work there. And so it's just it's a problem that's growing and growing and growing and growing, and it's starting to spill out into the community.
This is Lindbergh, former community liaison at the Beacon.
I resigned from the Beacon so I could then make a more assertive effort to hopefully find progress and dignity and respect.
Many at the Beacon are not willing to accept the current conditions. Lindbergh, along with other individuals and organizations, is attempting to change how Dane County provides for the Beacon. In the coming weeks, we will explore what the initiative is trying to accomplish and how Dane County, unhoused communities, and homelessness services are responding to it.
There are many, many people who work in homeless services right now who feel the same exact way that I do, but they're not in a position to speak their voice because they have children, they have mortgages, they have car payments. They can't afford to lose their jobs.
While the initiative aims to cease overwhelm at the Beacon and expand stabilization services, Beacon's community is committed to persisting.
Staff, the volunteers, the actual network of the homeless people that care for one another. We feed each other. We keep each other warm. we're there for each other when we have a bad day. Someone has a bad day, we keep each other from messing up.
The Beacon is a precious community space for many. It is also systemically neglected, and this way of functioning is unsustainable.
With Lindbergh leaving, it's almost like, what should we do now? Like, there's really nothing. Since he left, it's nothing. Like, it's nothing. It's nothing. They get the same resources that come in. That's kind of like, oh, they set up, shop there, and then the people just sit there. But some of these people, you gotta like bring the resources to them. Like, you gotta walk it over to them because they're mentally ill. So his initiative is like, man, I understand what you're saying. Because it's like, it's almost like a sense of hopelessness now. It's not enough resources. It's not enough people that care. Like, I'm seeing a hopelessness at the Beacons. If we had that at the Beacon, because everyone comes there, like, we are a dumping ground. So if we had some type of case management or something more than what we offer, I feel like it would be a major like success story